Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines with Living the One Light. All right. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the nodes of the moon and the fact that they have just switched from Aries. They were in Aries and Libra for the last 18 months. And then just in the middle of January, they have switched, January 2025, they have switched into Virgo and Pisces. And so I'm going to be talking first about some aspects of what that energy is, what that switch in general might be feeling like, the opportunities of it, the potential challenges of it. Um, and then in this video, I hope I'm going to have time to go through the houses. If I don't, I'll do that in a separate video, but I think I'll have time here. So, yeah, and I also want to open this video also with the context of what's going on in the world. I just want to touch on this briefly because I'm actually realizing how much this nodal energy can be really supporting us in this time. I mean, this is always true that the cosmos, the energies of the cosmos, have, if we look at it from a particular angle, we can absolutely see the support going on cosmically. But I want to highlight a couple of things. So I'm recording this on January 28th, 2025, and all over the world, there are many distressing things happening. I live in California in the United States, and so I'm not going to go down this road, and I'm not welcoming political commentary at all. But I would just say that, for example, here in the United States, the anxiety levels are getting very, very high, very panicky, for what I would say are pretty legitimate reasons. Very difficult things happening for many, many, many people, and not just here in the United States. Of course, we know that that's happening all over the world, those kinds of things. And so it brings up this question of what is what is ours to do? What is mine to do? What is yours to do? And how can we most effectively be of service in any given moment, right? There's always that question, but but I could speak for myself, even today. I've been surrounded by people in my personal life and people in my professional life really, really, really having a hard time and having a lot of anxiety. Again, I would say pretty legitimate reasons. Um, and so one thing that comes up for me is my own experience working in crisis. I worked as a clinical social worker and worked with trauma, and um, was a social worker and a supervisor in the child welfare system. So I did a lot of investigation and responding to crisis situations. So I have a lot of experience in navigating those kind of situations. And a lot of the things going on in the world right now can feel like a crisis because there are a lot of things that are crisis situations. So it's very natural and human in those moments, of course, to want to initially panic and to kind of go into that fight or flight mode. So I just want to give some general tips or reminders, things that probably are really obvious, but if I just want to name them so we can all together, you know, remember these things. And I've made other videos about this, but in general, right? Unless you're actually running from a bear or you're in an actual situation where you need adrenaline to pump through your body, typically that fight or flight mode is probably not actually going to be the most helpful thing. And so anything we can do to help ourselves, like take deep breaths and help our bodies to calm, is probably a very good idea. Um, typically we can be of much more service if we come out of fight or flight mode, and then our body, our nervous system can come back online fully, uh, so that we're not in panic mode. Because just to give one example, one thing that happens when we go into fight or flight panic mode is that the frontal lobe shuts off. We go most of what's activated is our hindbrain because we want to be in survival. We want to survive, right? But something that's really, really important about the parts of our brain that shut off is those are the parts of the brain that can do big picture thinking, that have empathy, that can be really present for other people in a more holistic way. We have, the long term, the big picture thinking, the long term thinking, thinking outside the box, coming up with solutions that if we're in that fight or flight mode, our brain is shut down. So we just probably will do like the next thing that needs to be done, but we won't necessarily, really be able to have, you could say, yeah, the bigger picture solutions that maybe would come through us if we're able to be in that more calm state. So I just want to give that reminder in general in case you happen to be one of the many people feeling quite distressed, or people around you are. Um, and that's not to minimize it at all. It's actually the opposite. It's that it's uh again, having worked in crisis situations and been in, emergency rooms and very, very, very difficult situations where I'm the responder, that's one of the things you just need to do. You can't really help if you also panic, right? Yeah. So, so I just want to name that. And then with regard to the nodes, it's actually really beautiful because when I started to feel into, okay, what is South Node in Virgo? What's North Node in Pisces? One of the biggest things that comes through, and I'm going to say a little more about this, is that the South Node in Virgo helps us to remember that we are Gaia. It helps us to come back to the reality that we literally are Earth. So there's so many facets to everything in astrology, and there's so many different perspectives on what is Virgo Pisces about. And I would highly recommend just listening to many perspectives and feeling what feels right in you and what comes alive in you. And I would love to hear what that is for you. So I'm just going to be naming some certain things, and then there are many other perspectives that are great as well. But yeah, so to start, so for me, the nodes are really about balancing an axis that is supporting us to balance two seemingly polarized energies. And so the South Node typically is what we're bringing into this lifetime, and that includes gifts, and that includes difficult things. That's in a natal chart, in your birth chart. When the transiting South Node is moving through a place, typically that South Node energy is helping us to release what no longer serves, and it's helping us to bring in gifts of that energy and kind of like remember that energy of ourself or of the life. So right now we have the South Node now in Virgo. So that might be helping us to release, um, you could say the shadow sides of Virgo, like self-criticism, self-doubt, like being overly critical of things. But it also helps us to remember the gifts of the reality that we are Earth, we are Gaia. It helps us to bring in the gifts and remember the gifts of discernment, right? And so then the South Node energy, Virgo, is then balanced with Pisces. It's quote unquote opposite, but I would say more like it's pair. And the North Node, wherever the North Node is, typically it's like a focal point, and it can be a place where we then can be supported on a very powerful soul level, to bring in gifts of that energy, so Pisces, and to work in tandem to come to balance between the Virgo and the Pisces energies. So so Pisces, but also the wherever the North Node is, that energy is so emphasized that sometimes the out of balance version of that, or the shadow side of that, can also be a possibility, especially since, as I'll say in a minute more, in this case, right now we have the North Node in Pisces conjunct Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces. So we have like Pisces, 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 Pisces going on. And so to have North Node in Pisces conjunct Neptune in Pisces can be an amazing, beautiful, ecstatic connection with the divine, and really like bringing in like such a powerful opportunity to really be connecting with the spirit world, with the divine, with ourselves as the divine, really infusing us with the reality that we are the divine. On the out of balance and Pisces energy, and especially with that Neptune there, could be an energy that's very strongly out of balance and in illusionment or delusions, actually, even, or hallucinations. I mean, it can go into the realm of psychosis, or feeling really confused, or like things get foggy, and like you don't know which end is up and which end is down. So the Virgo. Oh, and also that very, very strong Piscean Neptunian energy can be, if it's out of balance, can be a sense of losing our sense of self. Um, or like we want to help everything, or we want to be of service to everything, and forgetting that we need to discern. We need to have boundaries, and we need to discern what is actually ours to do, which Virgo can help us with, right? Like we are not here to be everything, Pisces. We're here to be doing what is ours to do, in discerning. I am a being of the divine, Pisces, and yet I am a specific temple of the divine, Virgo, as a being of Gaia and the divine as one. Um and so so the Virgo Pisces combination can help us both tap into ourselves as the divine, but also then get really clear. This is mine to do. This is not mine to do. That's Virgo. Um, yeah. Okay. And there's so much else I could say. But I will say, I mean, if you want to know an example of a Virgo Pisces being, here's one. Here's me. So, I was born on a full moon in Virgo. So I have my moon in Virgo right on my Virgo ascendant, and then I have my sun in Pisces. So anyway, so I'm and all my chart is just filled with this Pisces Virgo combination. Um and I love it. It's a very comfortable combination for me. It's probably the most easy, solid part of my own chart and my own energetics. And yeah, so the being that is me, I would say, is one version of the Pisces Virgo balance. So I'm at least the way I think of myself, at least I'm very grounded. I'm very much here as Earth, and yet very, 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 very connected to the divine and to the spirit world, and then I'm a conduit of that. I channel, right? So yeah, so I feel that I embody that combination pretty easily. There are other parts of my chart that are more where my challenges are, but this is not that. So that to give you that, I'm an example. Okay, but there are many examples. Um, yeah. Okay. So lots more I could say on that, but let me just take us through. Yeah, how would this combination maybe be playing out for you, given how it maybe is falling in your chart? So let's take a. Yeah, and I'll just say a couple more things. So in terms of the South Node being in Virgo, and this reminder that we are Gaia and the divine as one, I mean, I think actually that's a perfect kind of antidote to this to the moment we're in the world in a certain way. Because when we need to come out of that fight or flight mode, coming back into the reality that we are Gaia and we are the divine, and we're not going to bypass, we're not going to dissociate from our earth body. That typically, again, is not going to be helpful. There's sometimes when that's helpful because it helps us to survive, but usually we want to stay in our body. We want to feel held and safe, that it's okay, we're right here. And yet we are connected as the divine, so we can get like a bigger perspective on things. We can know that we are surrounded by the spirit world. We have so much spirit support, and we're here doing this all together as beings of Gaia and as beings of the infinite benevolent realms, right? That's very much the Virgo Pisces combination, and can really help us to take a deep breath and feel in our bodies that reality that we are Gaia, that she is right here. She's holding us. She is us. Our bodies are her, and we're surrounded and held, even in the moment of, that the earth is going through all of this tumultuous stuff. And I'll also say, of course, I have so many resources for supporting you in this if you want more support. So I have gazillion channeled meditations videos on my YouTube channel. I would highly recommend the Wholeness Way series, which is on my YouTube channel. I'll put that link here as well. But it's, daily meditations for an entire month, all entirely free. And this would be a perfect time to be using those if those call to you. Plus so many of the other videos I make are just, that's what this is. Also, if you haven't listened to the Gaia Speaks series yet, this would be a perfect time for that too, because again, South Node in Virgo, we are Gaia, etc. So one of the books in my Living the One Light series that I channeled is Gaia Speaks, and you can get the book on Amazon or on my website. But also, if you want to hear me just reading it out loud for free, I'm reading it chapter by chapter on my YouTube channel, and there's a whole Gaia Speaks series. This would be a beautiful time to enjoy that. And of course, like the Ben Weiss series is perfect for that. That's not free, but it's available to join still if you're called to do that. So I've talked about that in many other places. I'll put the link here if that calls to you. That'll be very, very supportive through this whole year. And then my astrology courses as well. So if you want support with all of this, there's just lots. Go to my YouTube channel and just click on something, and probably it'll hopefully help. Yeah, and you can reach out to me, and if you have questions about, if you want to join any of my courses, and you're not sure which one would be the best for you, I'm happy to answer questions, etc. And they all have sliding scale options and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah, so now let's look at the chart. All right, so the chart of right now, I'm recording this on Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. And at this point, we're just leading up to a new moon in Aquarius tomorrow, and Uranus is about to go direct the day after that at 23 degrees of Gemini. I mean, oh my goodness, 23 degrees of, no, not Gemini, Taurus, right here. And on February 4th, Jupiter is about to go direct at 11 degrees of Gemini. Mars is still going retrograde, is about to go direct at 17 degrees of Cancer, etc. Okay, so just to give the context of where we are, the North Node right now is at 28 degrees of Pisces, almost exactly conjunct Neptune. It'll be conjunct Neptune in February. Venus is coming up to conjunct Neptune and the North Node as well. And then Venus is going to go into Aries and go retrograde on March 1st at 10 degrees of Aries. Mercury is currently just entered Aquarius, but is also going to come into Pisces and go into Aries and then go retrograde on March 14th at 9 degrees of Aries. So we have this whole, just a whole bunch of energies going on all through Pisces. Plus, we also have Saturn in Pisces. Yeah, lots and lots and lots, so much happening in Pisces in the next couple of months. And then into the beginning degrees of Aries. Okay. So this North Node has tons and tons and tons and tons of, you could call them supporters, there's the whole grouping. Lots, if you have anything going on in Pisces, especially the second half of Pisces, your chart is very, very, very highly activated right now. Okay, so let's take this just step by step through the houses. And so I'm going to be talking about this based on your ascendant sign. And as I've said in other videos where I've attempted to, such and such through the houses, this is not an exact science in the slightest. And I used to never do these kind of videos because it's so variable and there's so many variables and yeah, it's a little tricky, but people have seemed to enjoy me doing this, so I'm gonna continue doing this. And you let me know what feels supportive or doesn't. But what I will say is, so for example, I'm going to start out by saying, if your ascendant is Aries, then probably the North Node is in your 12th house and the South Node is in your 6th house. Okay. But um that may or may not be the case depending on the degree of your ascendant, right? So listen to what I say for your ascendant sign, but then also listen um to the signs maybe right before and after the ones for you. So for Aries, you could listen to Aries. If you have an Aries ascendant, listen to Aries, but also maybe listen to Pisces and Taurus if you just play around and feel what feels right for you. And if you know your chart really, really well, then you'll know where the North Node, the transiting North Node is for you, and listen to that. But yeah, so again, this is not exact. And then there's so many things going on that I can't know about your chart because, for example, the North Node might be in your 12th house, but it also might be on your sun or on your moon or on your Saturn or whatever, and that would make a big difference in what's going on for you. So this is just to give a general feeling of things. Okay. So, all right, let's start. Okay. So in general, if you have an Aries ascendant, like I said, probably the South Node is in your 6th house and the North Node is in your 12th house. And so what's being bridged, like the nodes always are in exactly opposite each other, and they're bridging two signs, so in this case Virgo and Pisces, but they're also bridging two houses. So in your case, the nodes would be theoretically bridging your 6th house and your 12th house, which are actually a mirror of Virgo and Pisces. So for people with Aries ascendant, I mean, this is very common for you because this is what happens when you have an Aries ascendant, everything is double. And so in general, I would say, the big things being highlighted are possibly coming into a kind of a deeper, more discerning relationship with your body, 6th house, your daily routines, really deeply listening to your body, um, coming into also a much stronger relationship with with your relationship with the divine, with the spirit world, but ideally having that bridging your relationship with your body and really maybe even getting a deeper sense of how to listen to the wisdom of your body, bringing in your own gifts of knowing your body. Um, and yeah, and you have Saturn there, moving through your 12th house as well. So possibly bringing in more structure around how to take self-responsibility for your own relationship with the divine, but also possibly with your body and listening, again, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And I've also to say, I've made previous videos on Pluto and Aquarius through the houses, which you could go back and listen to. Um, and I also made a video on the Saturn Jupiter square through the houses. So you could listen to all of these and they still all apply, right? Because those things are happening for a long time. Pluto in Aquarius will be there for another 19 years. And the Jupiter Saturn square is in effect until basically June of 2025. So go back and listen to those videos if you want to kind of dive a little more deeply into these things. Okay, so I'm just giving you the gist of the nodes through the houses here. So then let's move to if your ascendant is Taurus. So if your ascendant is Taurus, then probably the north node is now moving into your 11th house and the south node is moving into your 5th house. Okay, so let's feel into that. So south node in Virgo moving through your 5th house. 5th house has to do with your creativity, yourself as like your self-actual as your own yourself as as source energy. And so what I'm feeling with this is this could be a time of you really being supported to come more and more deeply into yourself as Gaia. So you have a Taurus ascendant, right? So you already have this very strong earth energy and this energy of your soul intending to really learn your relationship to yourself as earth, just given that that's your ascendant degree. And there might be some, like, what I feel is this feeling of like there might be something really fun, really creative and fun that's wanting to move through you. 5th house, Virgo, right? You as Gaia, like it feels very tactile. Like maybe there's art, or maybe there's dance, or maybe there's painting, or something that's like Gaia wanting to move as you through this creative life force energy, or through play, or through your relationship with children, or yeah, I'm not sure, but something along those lines. And then to bring it, 11th house in Pisces, to bring it into some kind of, maybe some kind of community setting, or to bridge yourself as this creative individual version of like the flower that is you as the divine, yet to be in service of the collective, to be in service of community in some way. Um, And another thing I will mention in general, because it's coming up here, and I think it'll come up in through lots of these houses, is with all of this emphasis in Pisces and Neptune conjunct the North Node, and you know, uh, Venus there and Saturn there, and I have actually don't have Nessus on this chart, but Nessus is there as well. Could be this radical forgiving energy, this radical forgiveness potential. And so maybe there's something about the South Node in Virgo moving into your 5th house where it's like maybe you have an opportunity to let go of self-criticism, like any sense of I'm not good enough when it comes to my art or my expression of who I am, or the creativeness that is me. Maybe you can just let that go. Maybe you have a sort of self-critical side, and that's just not in service anymore. And so you maybe wanting even to forgive yourself or to forgive others, but especially maybe to forgive your own inner critic so that you can be fully of service and really bridge that being that is the divine with the being that is you as earth, and the creative life force that is you as earth and the divine as one. And then magic can happen, in these community spaces or in groups or with friendship, or just you as a gift to the world in some way. Okay. And then let's move to ascendant in Gemini. All right. So if you have your ascendant in Gemini, chances are that the South Node is moving into your 4th house, and the North Node, therefore, would be moving into your 10th house. And again, this is not an exact science, so it depends on, you know, your ascendant degree and the way that your houses are configured. So, but in general, let's say the South Node is now crossing into your 4th house, and the North Node is moving into your 10th house. So this nodal axis of South Node in Virgo, North Node in Pisces is also bridging your 4th and 10th houses. And the 4th and 10th houses, among other things, have to do with the balancing of your own personal emotional needs, family needs, your tender being that is the inner you, like the inside of a crab, the inside of you, with you in society and the structures of society and the expectations of society, the part of you that more shows up in the external world and in society, that kind of a thing. And so this can be really supporting you to have those needs, the totality of those needs met, right? To both remember you as a being of Gaia, who is a being of tenderness and legitimate emotional needs, and the sense of radical forgiving and letting go when it comes to the expectations of society, that you can the self-criticism, maybe I don't know, but if you have Virgo 4th house, there could, on the shadow side of that, there could be a self-criticism where, maybe you feel like your emotions, like shame around your emotions, or I shouldn't feel the way I do, or as a child maybe it was not, you weren't necessarily nurtured to feel the way you do, and there could be this self-critical voice that is just ready to release more and more and more, in service of also this forgiveness, this radical forgiveness and releasing the expectations of society. And yet also with Saturn moving through there in Pisces at the same time as the radical forgiveness and letting go, maybe also a support coming in for you to get the structures you need to be held in the emotional being, the emotional body that is you, and to be able to both be tender and emotionally present, and yet emotionally supported, so that you can be, in a sense, all of who you are in an honest way, um, and in a way that has integrity, where you're not denying your own emotional needs, and you're able to be soft in a sense, soft to work with the needs of society or the needs of the structures of the world, and yet do it in a soft yin, sort of subtly aware kind of way. It's a little bit hard to put into words, but I hope you can kind of feel what I'm saying with that. Okay. And then let's keep going. So, Cancer ascendant. Okay, so if you have a Cancer ascendant, again, depending, um, typically you would then have the North Node moving into your 9th house. And so if you have North Node in your 9th house, then you would have the South Node in your 3rd house. And if you have a Cancer ascendant, probably you're a relatively sensitive person, and similar to that fourth house quality I was just describing. People who have a Cancer ascendant tend to be yeah, sensitive and really needing to attend to and honor your emotional being, your emotional body. And so that's just an underlying energy that's probably there for you. Um, and then you have the South Node in Virgo transiting your third house, which could be um, helping you, supporting you to release this sort of self-critical voice around your voice. Third house, communication. And you as a communicator, right? So if you have strong Virgo energy in your third house, there could be this sense of not good enoughness with regard to your voice, yourself as someone who would speak. All of that you might want to, with all of these things, you might actually want to look at the ruler of these nodes. So Mercury and Neptune and Jupiter. Mercury being the ruler of Virgo, and then Neptune and Jupiter being the ruler of Pisces. So you want, if you want to get a little more complex, you could take a look at all of that for yourself. I'm not going to go into that here, but especially if the South Node is transiting your third house, Mercury is going to be particularly important because Mercury is both ruling the South Node, which is moving through your third house, and third house in general is associated with Mercury. So with this one, I would definitely instinctively look to Mercury and what's going on with your Mercury and also the transiting Mercury, but especially where is your Mercury and is that being transited somehow? Because that could add another layer to what's going on with your relationship to your voice. And something that could be coming through in a really beautiful way is maybe Gaia speaking as you or through you, right? Like that you, in your natal chart, you have Virgo in at least part of your third house, probably. So, um, and probably, yeah, ruling your third house. So you might identify as a voice of Gaia. Maybe you don't identify that way, but maybe that is actually a truth about you. I mean, I think that's a truth about all of us because we all are Gaia. Okay, but that might be particularly true for you. And there might be something with the South Node transiting there that maybe there's something needing and wanting to come through you, especially as a voice of Gaia or as a voice of um Gaian beings, so like fairies or gnomes or if you happen to be one of the people involved in my Ben Hui series this year, so many of you are having these magical beings, these earth beings coming to you and wanting to speak, and in all different ways, right? And some of you are more conscious and comfortable with that, and others of you are feeling like you can feel those spirits there, but you're not quite sure how to access it, or you're doubting your abilities with that. And if this happens to be you, if you happen to have, I mean, this can be true for anybody, okay, anybody, but for you, if you have the South Node in Virgo transiting your third house, wow, that's really, really cool. That wouldn't surprise me if there's these elementals or these beings wanting to speak through you. And the South Node in Virgo could be really supporting that for you. And then you're bridging that with the North Node in your ninth house in Pisces. So fascinating. This energy really could be activating you as a teacher. So you as a communicator, but also you as a teacher, which of course go together. Third and ninth house go together, right? They're balanced with each other. And there might be some way in which there's an opportunity for you to have like a radical letting go of very powerful forgiving of yourself or of past lives or of whatever it is, where maybe you as a teacher or a guru or a monk or a nun or whatever, some kind of spiritual something or other in other past lives or maybe in this life, um, maybe there's some fear or trauma that's gone on, and And this energy now can help you radically let that go in a whole different way so that you can come into that voice of the divine, that voice of the earth that is you and that is really needed here and now. Um and yeah, and maybe you're getting really powerfully supported for that to be coming through more and more and more over the coming 18 months as the nodes are in Virgo and Pisces like this. So super exciting, actually. Really beautiful. Okay. I mean, it's all exciting. It's all great. I'm really feeling that one so strongly. Okay. So then let's say you maybe have Leo rising. And if you have Leo rising, again, depending on the configuration of your chart, the North Node might be in the ninth house and with the South Node in your third house, but it also very likely will then be transiting your second house and eighth house. So let's talk about it from that perspective. Okay. So if you have Leo rising and South Node in Virgo transiting your second house, North Node in Pisces transiting your eighth house. Okay. This is very powerful. Also, I'm really drawn to this North Node in Pisces, with this whole stellium in Pisces in your eighth house. Okay. So eighth house is often, a house associated with power struggles. There can be what I'm feeling here is just this radical forgiveness having so much potential to be helping you, supporting you to radically let that, insert word here, let that go. Let it all completely go. You don't need it anymore, right? In eighth house especially. Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can just feel the potential of that energy to just be releasing, 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 releasing. Just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And with the caveat that I often give, which is this is not about spiritual bypassing. If you're in a situation where you need psychotherapy, please, if you need the support of a therapist, please go get that. I used to be a therapist and I really advocate that. But so in general, though, yeah, this can be very powerful letting go energy. If this is North Node is transiting your eighth house. Like, wow, wow, wow. Okay. And then with the South Node in Virgo in your second house has to do with resources, has to do with money, has to do with us as earthly being. It's a Taurian quality house. And so if you have Virgo ruling your second house, which you probably do if you have a Leo ascendant, then you have an extra earthy second house. And second house also has to do with our self-value and feeling safe as a being of Gaia. So again, with the South Node in Virgo transiting that second house, it can be this letting go of the self-criticism when it comes to your self-value. Like, yeah, yes. And really feeling the beauty and the value that you are as a being of Gaia and the sensuality of you. To have, this North Node in Pisces transiting the eighth house and all that letting go, there could be a letting go of trauma with regard to sexuality. That could absolutely be a possibility, and really radical forgiving with regard to that. And again, if that's something you're working with, definitely maybe go see a therapist if that's what you need. But that absolutely could be a thing going on for you. And then the South Node in Virgo really supporting you to remember the gifts, the reality that you are a being of Gaia, and that our body has the potential to be such a temple. Well, it is a temple. It is a temple, and it can be so enjoyable, right? And so we can release all of the trauma that might be associated with the body and the experience of the body and the sexuality and all of that, and then come back into the gifts of what it is to feel, to be safe and held and celebrated as a being of Gaia, and to celebrate ourself and our own body as a being of Gaia. And so you might, if this is you, you know, you might want to nurture yourself in various ways, whatever feels right, whatever you're, just really listen to the wisdom of your body, and the preciousness of your own body and being. Yeah, lots of healing potential there. Big time. Okay. So next, we're going to go to Virgo rising. Which is me and lots of you. Okay, so let's see. In general, with Virgo rising, probably the South Node is transiting your first house, and the North Node would then therefore be transiting your seventh house. And you also have probably Saturn and, you know, right now Venus and Neptune there in your seventh house too. So you're having this humongous emphasis in your seventh house and also first house. So let me feel into this for a minute. And ironically, even though this is the configuration of my own chart, I haven't actually thought about it in this way for myself even. So that's really funny. I'm just going to feel into it in general. This is not speaking for me. This is just the energies arising. So yeah. Okay. So if you have Virgo rising, then that means you also have Pisces ruling your seventh house. Okay. That is a thing. And to have Pisces ruling your seventh house, typically, often, those of us with Pisces seventh houses might have a tendency to give ourselves away in relationship, to really like be of service to the other in a pretty profound way. And so we probably have had lots of lessons about needing to develop our own boundaries, our own integrity with our own needs, you know, really honoring ourselves just as much as we honor the other, and not just give ourselves away to be of service all the time, right? Because that's not cool. It's not healthy. And so what we have now going on is Saturn there supporting us to really come into the right balance of in relationship. To if you want to go back, I recently, the last video I actually just recorded was a channeling regarding Venus, the Venus Saturn conjunction going on, and is very much about boundaries in relationship, but how to be held by Saturn in the rings of Saturn, to relax in a yin way into those rings and to just be held. That when we're needing to have boundaries, it doesn't need to be a pushing people away or a fight. It just is, right? Our body knows the exact perfect spacing between us and an other. So if you have Virgo rising, then that whole energetic is going to be especially highlighted for you, because this is all happening in your seventh house, and seventh house has to do with relationship with others of all kinds. I mean, it can have to do with marriage and, you know, partnership, like romantic sexual partnership, but it has to do with any kind of equal relationship, partnership of any kind, even friendship, anything where I'm relating to you as an equal, and you're a mirror to me in some way, and I'm learning through relating to something that's not just me. Yeah, and then there could be a sense of divine. What is divine relationship? What is divine love even? And how do I bridge the reality that I am Gaia? I am a temple of the divine. I'm a sacred self-sovereign being of the divine, Virgo, first house. And I'm here to be in service as a being of love, and as a being of a conduit of divine love. Right? How do I integrate both of those at the same time? And maybe there's a radical forgiving and a radical letting go with regard to love, or with regard to relating to others. So there could be a pretty profound, pretty radical shift in the way you're relating to yourself and in relationship of all kinds. And there could be this really beautiful potential to come into a whole different balance with it, where you can be grounded, Virgo, you can be centered and grounded in your own sovereign being, and you can know what it is to fall in love on this ultimate divine level, and how to bring, like, be a bridge of earth and the divine when it comes to relating to when it comes to love and relationship. And there's so much more there, you know, and I would love to hear, because that's all true going on in my own life, to be honest, but I would love to hear from other people with Virgo rising, or other people with the North Node in your seventh house, South Node in your first house. What is that? Is that happening for you? I would love to hear. Definitely going on for me. Very profound, very life-changing. Yeah. Okay. And then let's move to Libra rising. Okay. So if you have Libra rising, you might actually still have the South Node in your first house and North Node in your seventh house. So everything I just said about Virgo rising could be applying to you if you have Libra rising, and if you have Libra rising, you know, this need to learn through relationship and all of that could be extra, extra, extra. I mean, it is extra highlighted for you because that's your ascendant. So all the themes I just talked about could be kind of double for you. So I'd be really curious to hear what's going on for you if that's the case. But if you have Libra rising, chances are that at some point in the next 18 months, well, not chances are, definitely, the South Node will be transiting your 12th house, and the North Node will be transiting your 6th house. So this is flipped what I described with Aries rising, right? And so in this case, the South Node, this is bridging your 12th and 6th houses, but with the South Node transiting your 12th house and the North Node transiting 6th house. Okay, so let me feel into that for a minute. So again, this is bridging you as a being of earth and you as a being of the divine, 6th and 12th houses. But the emphasis might be more on releasing a sense of, what's coming to me is asceticism. So asceticism, like was that releasing previously held ideas of what it is and what it means to you to be spiritual and to be enough, in a sense, with spirituality. Um so if you have Virgo in the 12th house, a definite way that kind of archetype could play out is that you might have been in previous lives or even in this life, have this sense that if you are going to be highly spiritual, that means a need to be self-sacrificing. So Virgo 12th house, that absolutely could be a way that plays out or has played out for you. Not always, but that's a possibility. So the South Node then in Virgo transiting that 12th house could be helping you to let that go. That is not a helpful way to think or feel, right? Like in this day and age, we don't need to feel like we need to self-sacrifice in order to be enough in any sense of that word. Um, and so you could be really getting supported to just, okay, we're done. We don't need to have that mentality anymore. You are a being of Gaia. Gaia is here supporting you. You deserve and need to be held and loved by her, as her, in full abundance, completely, just your heart, overflowing. So you actually, what might be really supportive to you could be, if you haven't listened to it yet, the video on my YouTube channel, about igniting yourself as the spring of love, something like that. I'll link that here, but that was a recent video I did in December 2024, where it's a channeled guided experience to become the overflowing spring of love that is each of us. And Yes, you're never giving from lack. We do not, we need to be done giving from lack. Mm-mm. Speaking again, personal experience, the Virgo Pisces energy of me is like, nope, 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 nope. Done, been there, done that. We're not doing that anymore. We're learning now, we're being supported now to get ignited in our own being as this being of the divine, of being of love, a being of Gaia, and we are overflowing. And then the giving that we do comes from that overflow, not ever, ever from lack. No, no, no. Right? Okay. So that's going on for you. Plus the North Node transiting your sixth house, which might be really a strong energy of radical forgiving with regard to your relationship with your body. And again, this bridging of you as earth and divine will be really, really strong, that you are good enough. You're not only good enough, you are beautiful and perfect just how you are, and you deserve and are being supported to be fully held as the full being of you, and to have overabundance in that. And it could be a lot of healing going on with those kind of energies. And again, I'm super curious if that's true for you, but that's what's coming up really strongly as I feel into that. All right, now Scorpio rising. Okay, if you have Scorpio rising, chances are that the South Node is transiting your 11th house, North Node in 5th house. And so again, this is going to be flip of Taurus ascendant. And so you're bridging the 5th house, you as the creatrix of the divine that is you, and you have, Pisces 5th house. You are literally a creatrix of the divine, like for real. Um, and you're bridging yourself as a being of Gaia with this creatrix being that is you. So there, for you also, just like with the Taurus rising people, there could be a really powerful influx of creation, life force, divine, creative, fun energy coming in. Like, again, with this, I just feel so much fun, and a like almost like giggly lightness with it, and a forgiving, if there's this any sense of I'm not enough, or what's wanting to move through me as me as a creator of the divine, me as a creator of source, me as a creator of the earth and God as one. If there's any sense of you not being enough, or anything you need to let go or forgive, just let it go. Just let it go. Because probably there's so much fun, creative newness wanting to come through. And it really, really needs to. It really, we need it. We need it, whatever it is. Just let the art flow, let the painting flow, let the singing flow, the dancing, I don't know, whatever it is that's wanting. It might not be a tangible thing. It might be more of like I don't know, poetry. It could be anything. It could be just anything. But share with us what that is for you. Okay. And that could be true for anybody. You don't have to have a Scorpio rising ascendant, to have that be true. Okay. Now, Sagittarius rising. All right. So if you have Sagittarius rising, chances are you might have the South Node transiting your 10th house, North Node transiting your 4th house. So this is going to be flipped, what I talked about with Gemini rising. And in this case, again, you're going to be having the 10th and 4th houses bridged to come into that balance between those those houses, in addition to Virgo and Pisces. But the emphasis here is on really letting go of the self-criticism, the critical voice of society, of I should do this, I needed to do that, I wasn't good enough when I didn't do blah, blah, blah. Or maybe I even did at XYZ and I really rose to the top, but that still wasn't enough. If you have any of those kind of feelings, this is really potentially supporting you to let that go, right? And to come again to bridge what society wants, what you feel the expectations are, with the tenderness, the true needs of your magical inner being. And so you are a being of Gaia You are a being of the divine, and there's this magic really wanting to, I think, support you to come down into that inner, like you as a crab, the tender inner crab that is you, the tender inner being that is you, and there's magic waiting in there. There's there's some wisdom in the inner being that is you, that as you let go of the inner critic voice, especially of society, that you can suddenly find this inner magic waiting to wake up and be nurtured in a really, really, really beautiful, powerful way. All right. And then Capricorn rising. If you have Capricorn rising, chances are that the South Node maybe is in your ninth house, with the North Node in your third house. And um, and so this again, similar to what I talked about earlier, this will be bridging your ninth house and your third house. And so so South Node in Virgo and ninth house, this could be you releasing self-criticism with regard to you as a teacher, or you as um priestess energy. This is very strong priestess energy. There might be, past lives where you have been, yeah, had some kind of trauma around being a witch, or a priestess type of being, or a some kind of sacred teacher um of the earth, of, Virgo energy, and for it not being safe for you to speak, right? And then now you have the North Node in Pisces transiting your third house. And so this can be this radical forgiving with regard to your voice, just especially with Venus there, Neptune there, and then Saturn coming along. This could be incredibly powerful healing time with regard to you as a being, a voice of the divine and a voice of earth. And to have Capricorn rising, I would look at, where is your Saturn? What's going on with Saturn for you? Your own Saturn, because Saturn is going to be the ruler of your chart, quote unquote. And there's probably a storyline with regard to your shoulds, like how should you XYZ do blah 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 blah, right? And probably there's a storyline if you follow the story of your chart with regard to your voice and those shoulds. And that's going to be getting really highlighted by this North Node in Pisces, with, radical forgiving possibly available for you, that can literally free up your voice, your vocal cords, like literally your vocal cords. And maybe even singing wants to come through you. Um, Something, yeah, very beautiful, very high vibrational through the voice, and through you as a being of Gaia and divine, through your voice. Okay. And now Aquarius rising. So if you have Aquarius rising, first of all, if you have early degrees of Aquarius rising, you have Pluto on your ascendant. That's a little bit important, tiniest bit important to know. Go back to my Pluto in Aquarius through the houses um, video and listen to that, because if you have Pluto on your ascendant, you're in a very, you have a lot going on. It's a big time for you. Very big time. So I'm not going to talk about that specifically right now, but if that's true for you, that's just absolutely massive. And then in addition, you would have probably the South Node transiting your eighth house, and then the North Node transiting your second house. And yeah, so again, there'd be this, potential for really deep karmic release to be going on for you, specifically around power dynamics, specifically maybe around trauma of you as a witch, that similar kind of an energy. Really letting go of any sort of negative, toxic energies. You just don't need that in any storylines around any of that kind of thing. It just let that go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And then coming into this radical forgiving of you, and this feeling what it is to feel safe as a being of Gaia, um, and yeah, really getting infused even with I'm feeling really angelic energy, that angelic fairy energy can be part of what helps to soothe you, to feel really held in the reality of you as a being of Gaia, and feeling, yeah, just safe to be here, and that being here doesn't mean that you're not connected to the divine. It actually means that you're surrounded. I mean, I just feel fairies, just fairies and angels, and this reminder that you're constantly held with that magic all the time, and that Earth is magic too, and that you as Earth are magic, and you're a being of magic. Even as, potentially you're going through a really, really, really big change time if you have Pluto there on your ascendant, which is only going to be true if you have your ascendant in the very early degrees of Aquarius. Pluto moves very slowly. So if you have, let's say, like 25 degrees Aquarius ascendant, Pluto won't be there for many, many years. So it depends on the degree, but yeah. Okay. And then last but not at all least is Pisces rising. So this is going to be the flip of Virgo rising. And so if you have Pisces rising, then almost certainly you have the North Node moving through your first house and the South Node moving through your seventh house. And so again, this also, just like Virgo rising, is going to be really bridging the seventh house and the first house. And um, if you have Pisces rising, you're a very sensitive being. If you have Pisces rising and you listen to me, you watch my videos, I basically guarantee you're an extremely sensitive being. You're probably very attuned to lots and lots of energies and energetics, and you're probably drawn to me because I'm also very Piscean, etc. Um, yeah, and so with South Node moving through Virgo in your seventh house, there's probably some kind of letting go available to you with regard to your own self-criticism in relationship, or even your critical voice with regard to the other in relationships. It's a little, yeah. Tell me what's going on for you with that. I'd be really curious. And then this radical letting go, first house, Pisces, like um radical forgiving of who you are, first house, your own identity, that whoever you are is absolutely perfect and divine and magical, and you are needed, right? And so this letting go of criticism, and then also radical acceptance, radical forgiving with regard to your own being, and that your gifts are truly here, they are needed, they are beautiful. And as you kind of discern what is mine to do and what is not mine to do, that can help you sort out all of this. Yeah. And there's so much more, so much more with all of these things. I'll just add in, if your nodes, your own natal nodes, are in Virgo and Pisces, that's also absolutely huge. You'll be either having your nodal reversal or your nodal return in the next 18 months. And so this is, extra big change moment for you. Lots and lots of, if you're having your nodal reversal, that means that, so if your north node is natally in Virgo and your south node in Pisces, which is flipped, what's going on right now in the sky, then the nodal reversal tends to typically be a time of extra potential for letting go of karmic stuff. The nodal return, so if your nodes are mirroring what's going on right now, so your north node in Pisces, your south node natally in Virgo, then probably this is in the next 18 months, is this a time of completion of like an 18, 19-year cycle in your life. So there might be a lot of endings and beginnings happening for you this year. And wherever these nodes are for all of us, that's also where the eclipses of 2025 and early 2026 are going to be. So you could take a look at, as we move through this next 18 months, that wherever I just highlighted for you that the nodes are, that's also where the eclipses are going to be. And yeah, so the eclipse times are going to be especially highlighting those areas of your chart. So the eclipses in 2025 are going to be in March and September, and so much more coming with regard to that, especially in March. I'm going to be doing the whole free summit, the Becoming Superconductors of Love Summit with Kaylin Castell. If you haven't signed up for that, definitely sign up. It's going to be amazing. This morning, I actually just recorded the video for that summit with Melanie Reinhart. It's such a beautiful conversation. Uh, the other speakers in there are Heather Ensworth, obviously Kaylin Castell, Chris Skidmore, on and on. Just really, really, really wonderful speakers, and not a lot of speakers. It's going to be relatively small, just 10 talks, and yeah, it's going to be a very sacred, collective, sacred time to be moving through that eclipse season. And again, entirely free, no VIP upgrades, optional donation if you want to make one, but it's totally free. So I'll put that link here. Yeah. Okay. I hope that gives you a taste of what these energies might be like and maybe are supporting you in, and all the potential healing here, and hopefully can also help you to ground in this time that we're in and really feel that reality of you as Gaia and the divine as one, and really as a conduit of the divine and Gaia as one in this time. Like, we're specifically here in this time as a being of Gaia in our bodies and a being of the divine, because we have a very specific role for the planet right now. And yeah, we're doing it together. So and please access any and all of the other resources I mentioned, so many free things here on my YouTube channel, and then any of the courses that call to you as well. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a being of Gaia and a being of the divine as one, together with us in this moment and beyond. All right, see you very soon.